back to the build-up for this one. Finally, we do get a chance to see what split looks like for Pacific. You've got to remember, it was a really strong start against Fnatic, which they had on their attack side, no less. Can they build on it here?
Already setting up for that A-take with Eternal Fire are stronger. The bullets and damage go Pacific's way, as well as the entries coming through. Echo now looking to try and hold things down, and successfully doing so. A clean double kill, Izzy here to support, and Pacific stopped the door.
Echo finding even another one, and the floodgates are open yet again. Izzy tries to follow it up, but Necky's there, as the rotation was already in progress. Eternal Fire handling Pacific well.
Yeah, and that's what you expect. And when we talk about Team Liquid Academy in reference to Pacific, we should also talk about Eternal Fire, their core, and what they did in Tier 2 last year.
Exactly, it was the Ulf team that ended up promoted, of course. And when you look at their statistics on the map, it's 5 from 5 times played this year converted into a win. Speaking of the core specifically,
yeah,
the fact that they have changed away from the Breach here now too, onto the Neon.
Yeah.
If they can find results with this lineup, then it just continues to make them that much more prominent.
Yeah, 100%. I think like that's the thing about Eternal Fire, that they're a team that will come from nowhere and surprise you. And that's something that they're going to continue to do. Although Pacific here might grab our attention, as we can see right now.
Okay.
Oda's stuck in the corner. That's a couple of upgrades.
Yeah, quick kills from Valorant. Bulldog in play on 7. He's on full HP, but Fabian over the top's already found one back, and CNET is lucky to get away with his life.
Yeah, that he is. Shotgun in hand at close range. That's where you would want it. But Alarante's Bulldog doing the damage. A 4K for Pacific, and straight back in the conversation.
Exactly the round that Pacific were looking for. An immediate response from the pistol. And it all comes through a couple of kills from Alorante. Nice utility here on the way through. Fade reveal backside from Ninja. Also on 3 kills of his own here out the opening couple. And I think these are the 2 players that we are really looking towards starring on this attack side.
That we are.
There.
Think this next hold, this next play right here in A main, you can see a lot of bodies getting ready to be flung forward. Pacific expecting this.
They're just playing passively. There are 4 players here, so easily digested on the Pacific side. And I think this is something that we've got to be looking out for, them containing that aggression that we know Eternal Fire have been plying match to match. It's something that Fnatic needed to get to grips with, something which, Vitality couldn't handle. Nice shots from Necky, but still doesn't really look like enough to fully dilute this.
Oda's now just respecting it. I mean, Alorante is low, but for the most part, you're expecting this to be won, especially with CNED up in heaven.
Well, look, one more kill here from Odas would have been huge damage, but unfortunately, Alorante does get away with his life, and so Pacific have an early lead.
They do. Seems as if like Split for the most part is certainly a map that Pacific can be happy with. Sure, they never won it last week, but they definitely gave Fnatic a little bit of a headache. Can they do the same to Eternal Fire? That's the question I'm wondering now. With a nice double up, that economy now looking sweet on the attack side. A couple of ultimates in play here. Pacific looking to have a good start, but it's never about the starts we question Pacific. It's all about how they finish.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'd be happy to counter that point, but we'll get back to it in just a moment, because CNET's on the offensive here, and already starting as he means to go on. A quick double through ramp, and with the spike left behind in spawn and Pacific still holding this default, Eternal Fire forced to react. Is he re-clearing through main, and he will sever 7 from the situation, and so CNED forced to regroup.
Yeah, 7 performance-wise has really dropped off comparably with the rest of Pacific, but he's still doing a good job. The rest of Pacific starting to match his performances. Echo now trying to fight mid.
Oh, and he's going to win the first duel cleanly. Alorante, swivel of the head eventually does pick him up, and now they're back into the lens of the operator. Is he repositioning from tower? And actually, still gambling on this, not quite sure where Pacific want to finish. And finally, with those steps heard, it's a foot race towards the A site.
Yeah, Izzy is here in time, but that fast lane stopping any line of sight. CNED already on site, and Izzy now doubting himself.
Yeah, tasked with getting that operator plant in, but we get to listen in now and hear how the retake goes.
Görmedim onu, City geldim,
Tabii
City
ki
geldim.
olabilir bu arada.
Main'e cross koy, Eva
Smoke at.
Main'e bakıyorum.
Main'e
Biri
sakladın.
side, biri heaven. Beyler.
Gidiyorum abi.
Side'daki time'ına bakıyorum.
So from this position now, 2-on-2, CNED not looking the right way, or actually no, he has the site control, sorry. Valorant over the shoulder in support, and Pacific add the final details.
Not impressed.
Doubling up on their advantage now, and Eternal Fire not quite able to match them for pace so far.
No, they're not. That's the thing. Eternal Fire, that was the comms you heard there, just in case. And yeah, I think that's the thing. Pacific have this really explosive style, and you'd think a team like Eternal Fire would be able to deal with that on the defensive side, but they're completely getting taken away, and you can see that think he's getting fired up.
As are the players in the server as well. For Pacific, this is do or die. Eternal Fire, life left in him yet, and with this aggressive maneuver, plenty of reveals outside of B. Is he trying to chase it down? And Fabian not far behind with the paint shells, but Pacific again do a brilliant job at weathering the storm.
And that's what they need to do against Eternal Fire. We know that this is their play style. They know that they can take players off guard, but hopefully this will be a lesson learned at the very least, should they continue on like this, that there needs to be an adjustment.
Uras has walked up in Garage, but CNED will catch him with the Outlaw. So right now, this tempered default from Pacific, dealing with all of the threats accordingly, mitigating Eternal Fire's pushes. And at what point do you think that we maybe see a timeout and a bit of a shuffle? Because
Yeah,
you can't just keep playing this one style if Pacific read it.
it's got to be after this round.
Last
Make it
player
though.
standing.
I mean, trying to be, again, that hero factor. We know it's 2v5, but it's that, fights like this that could potentially cost you rounds.
Sure,
30
sure. I
seconds
mean, in
left.
a completely different situation.
No, I understand.
I do.
But it's been, the point I'm trying to make is that I feel as if Eternal Fire are keen to try and do that. Oh, hello.
Yeah, Echo's just trying to bait Aloe into this one with the judge. Not sure if he's quite spotted it out yet, but it will be dealt with accordingly. And in-zone flawless as Pacific continue to go from strength to strength here. As you can see on this round, I mean, it was a push from down mid, Garage as well,
There.
but still holding the hard line against them.
Nice, baby. Come on. Easy, 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 easy. Come on, baby. Yeah.
And much as we suspected, Cairo, there is an immediate timeout to follow this up.
Yeah, there is, right? You've got to sit down, talk about it. If you're Afro on fire, thinking about exactly what's going wrong. And I think this is the first time that we've really seen Eternal Fire really get challenged in that aspect of like having to adjust their playstyle. Maybe you could argue Fnatic, right, in that game that they played. I think this is the next thing, and it's crazy that it's coming in the Pacific game, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think if you look back at the Fnatic game, Eternal Fire were able to generate a lot of early momentum. Pacific in a similar way, and the reason why that's important is because I feel like Pacific, the point I wanted to counter earlier of yours actually was about the slow starts, because Cupid said in the interview the previous week that they weren't starting quick enough, and that's where they ended up losing, or what they felt like was where they were losing out. Starting well against Fnatic, they've managed to do the same thing here. For me, it's more just about carrying that on into these follow-up rounds where you know Eternal Fire have checked back in with the coaching staff.
Well, into the next one, right? After a timeout, Eternal Fire have a bye. You've got Izzy back on the operator, what we expect him to be on, but it's Pacific's full flush of ultimates that they can use to, I guess, now break the bye of Eternal Fire as they come straight back and up through mid. CNED caught off guard, and it's Echo once again to hold things down.
Is he just about hanging in there? Ninja spots him and actually takes through the edge of the smoke in middle. 3 engagements already there, and Pacific, you can see, now looking to re-clear this space where Fabian has posted back up with that saved operator.
Neki is beginning to push A. So right now, Pacific, the map is starting to close in on them. Need to start to make decisions because Eternal Fire, they have all the information that they need.
For that reason exactly, no reason for Fabian to push up. He needs to hold this passive line and stop the threat of a split push onto B.
He has been an absolute hero for Eternal Fire, especially thinking back to last week. It continues to be that case in this round at least. So it's an Valorant 1 versus 4. He's good for his 1vx's, but this feels a bit out of his boathouse. It will be the case. Eternal Fire to answer straight back in.
And that's exactly the kind of response that you feared from the Pacific side, because Eternal Fire do have the quality. Felt more like a structural issue, at least in these first few rounds. A question of whether they perhaps woke up a little bit sleepy, hadn't quite smelled the coffee, but as soon as they're on the same page, you start to see why they are so acclaimed already within this stage.
Yeah, that's after Ninja using the Nightfall as well, but looks like Pacific straight back to what was working for them. They're going to go for a quick exit. Fabian pushed back as he forced back as well, but it's the showstopper to respond. Seven trying to use his, but can't get the blast packs to work. And now still has that rocket, won't even get to fire it off. It's Eternal Fire are very quickly shutting down Pacific after the ultimates they threw into the mixer. So it has to be a clutch from Ninja, which he can't even really get started. We're within one.
Rounds again like this where Pacific then try something different. They go for a much quicker look towards the A site, and Fabian is immediately there to answer all judgment. The rotation's pretty quick so far, because when Pacific have been all in, it's 4 or 5 bodies through the same avenue.
And yeah, it just looks like that, right? Like, you use big key pieces and rounds like that can decide your fate. Where does Pacific go next? They're going to change up straight away once again. Back to this 1-3-1 default, 3 players towards mid. And it's Echo to hold this part of the map down. He was successful in doing so last time, but not successful here.
7 immediately cuts that out, and this is precious real estate for Pacific. Couple of times now they've been stopped from making it to vents, merging that push with either of those players on the extremities we spoke about earlier. For now, it's just Valorant outside of A on a very deep line, because the rest are interested with this B tower position, and Eternal Fire have invested utility to challenge it.
Yeah, this is a fake that they did last week so many times, and well, that Nightfall might cut them out for pushing any further forwards.
Catches 3 players, now working their way, backtracking in fact, into main, where Neki's already set up to knock them down. 2 quick kills out of him, and Izzy even missing the leg shot onto 7. But eventually corrects himself, and with Valorant dropping the spike in behind, it's a no-scope from Izzy to follow up. Eternal Fire just moments away from tying the scoreline from the timeout.
30 seconds.
Unless Cooper has anything to say for it, but he doesn't. Lips sealed shut, and Fire back on form.
You can see another timeout coming out after that last round. Very quick from 7, but overall that Nightfall having so much impact. And Pacific floundering when they were trying to get onto the site, when the decision actually should have been just to hit that site.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? The Nightfall there is a real punch across the jawline. Pacific from experimenting between going for these direct rounds and now what looks to be another all-in, but with a slightly slower pace.
Yeah.
Molly's already dropped towards the site. It's only Audas here watching B.
Yeah, he's only had 1 kill so far to identify this site would be huge. Wow. That's his second. And what? Echo somehow managed to get a Molly into place. Ninja spray working out as well. 3v2. This Nightfall to try and play in the tower players, but it's not hit anyone.
Oh, it's just allowed Fabian to get out back on the site itself, whereas Izzy is holding things down in rotation again.
No.
As the Neon player, he's here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, but it's just, look at this. Cupid to fake out towards A all by himself. The spike slowly makes its way on towards B, but Ninja needs to get a move on because there is a Neon in play, and that rotates much quicker than you expect.
But it's the gap that they've now got across with middle, an uncertainty that makes this an issue. Looking at Pacific here, their post-plant at 56%, but another issue highlighted by the captain. The ex-academy graduates now in play for this 2-on-2. And with Fabian creeping closer, it's Ninja, one off the ace. Is he up in the heavens? Already spotted. Cupid will finish it off. And Pacific retake their lead.
It's a huge round to win out. 5-4 Pacific regaining that lead, as you said, but in the post-plant, Cooper had used all his stars. Should they have lost one fight or Ninja up close, it would have been a dodgy one. Nice spray down to bring it into a winnable position.
Ah! Who are they picking, bro? Come on!
Come on, man.
They know the game plan, though, and I think that's the most important detail that we have to stress. Eternal Fire are going to give them these fights because they've been winning them all stage. So with CNED set up on utility here, Fabian just waits for a moment to bait out those peaks. When he re-clears, it's a swift double.
I agree, but it is Audaz to hold down the site. Couldn't do it last time, only got one kill up close in the corner, and you can see Pacific once again doubting themselves.
Smoke timing's everything here. Audaz nailed to the wall by Valorant. And again, CNED knows those tricks too well. The first Turkish champion on a global stage knows exactly the DNA that runs in the blood of these teams, and with Izzy in the 1v3, he knows a stage or two himself. Might just be looking to save the operator here.
Or not. Full battle utility could give it a go.
But with this gun, feels unlikely. He sent the utility in, so still looks to be entertaining the idea that someone would swing him, but past that, it is just the save as we expect, and the towel thrown in. Pacific adapting to what Eternal Fire have been doing here and actually getting some rounds back for themselves.
Yeah, but it's come through, right? Identifying where the Omen's playing and really hitting that site. Because the big question the desk asked us on the toss over to us has always, would you prefer Astra or do you prefer Omen? And the reason why Astra is preferred to Omen is because there's so much more stall potential. That paranoia no longer has the effect that it once did. And right now, Audaz just isn't hitting the shots that he normally would.
It's a conversation we've had many times over the years in Valorant with utility and what kind of safeguards an agent will give you when you're not performing. I think the best example I can think of was back in the day, right? Phoenix over Reyna. That's an old one for you.
Jeez,
just the fact that you have the ult, right? If you didn't have anything else, if you can't play off it. And I guess here, it's what you're saying, a bit more of a stockpile. Again, preference, the biggest thing. And if you do just want to engage quickly, then Omen does have the tools for it. But the only antagonist right now I can see is Echo, and he's taken all of the mid space with Valorant arriving late.
It's up to Halo to clear this out. In fact, you see right now Echo's going elsewhere. Eternal Fire are interested towards the A side. This is looking like a brilliant fake.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they seem to think it was the other side, but is he finally on high alert? And when he comes back into the site, comes crashing down on the heads of two Pacific players. Movement not good enough in the end to bail him out of the situation, and Neki, with a hopeless death in the heavens, means that Echo has so much heavy lifting to do, and that mid-walk down we were waiting for comes in far too soon. Pacific ready for every last peak, and with Fabian only on a shotgun at that range, 7, the one to put it to a close. Pacific with their 7th.
Yeah, now one away from an 8-4 half, which is more than respectable. And Eternal Fire have been completely adjusted to, right? I think that's a big thing. Pacific haven't needed to time out, and what could be a very important second half, having 2 timeouts in the pocket.
Yo! Come on! Come on, baby!
And you can feel the confidence from the players as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think you mentioned closing out earlier. It's at that point later on in the series where start to question it of them, because right now it's been the perfect start. Last chance to get another here up against the full buy, and with 7 already closing the distance on this site with the rocket, he is going to finish off what was starting in main. Full assault of the A site here. And with only Izzy left, he has to play in with the operator. Finds the first.
Has the ulti as well. This could be somewhat doable, but with 7 hiding away in the pit and plate, I think this should be over and done with.
It's on a timer. Izzy running out of opportunities at this point. Right back into the open arms of 7. And there you go. Pacific with 8 on their attack side of Split. It's been their pick all year long, yet to win it a single time, whereas Eternal Fire in this core remain undefeated. Could this be the shake-up that makes the difference? Find out after this.
Look how sad they are, bro. Look how sad they are.
But yeah, it's a couple of the rounds he had against Fnatic the other week as well. Looking a lot more assured on the stage too, where coming into this, you know, moving to a foreign country, away from home for the first time as a pro player, adds a lot of pressures that we don't always talk about, and he has definitely grown into the role. But still work to be done here for Pacific on that road to a first win in the VCT. And already, Eternal Fire letting their presence be felt in Garage. A bit of a fake and an all collected as they head towards A.
Oh, Alo having to try and dodge round. Izzy's the one that ends up getting stunned there. Elsewhere, Neki opens up the B side. Pacific are walking down mid as well. There's a lot of moving parts to this round. Are Pacific in the right position to catch off this rotate?
I think Seven's just heard the steps here of Ordaz.
Yeah, he's coming through, coming round, and Ninja catches him off guard. Advantage Pacific. Echo making this even though, as we go back and forth in the spike plant being attempted. There's still players in Garage for Pacific. You can see on multiple fronts, people are taking fights, and it's Eternal Fire for the moment. They seem to be coming out on top, and certainly will be. A big pistol round to win.
It's another one of those rounds where Pacific on paper have the right setup from a macro perspective, and then Eternal Fire just send another left hook. The micro between some of the individuals on this team just looking top-notch at times. Able to play out of a bad situation, stuck on site, receptive to that main push that came in very late on. And Echo winning his duels in Heaven is what ultimately makes the biggest of differences.
Yeah, it literally comes down to individual duels and hitting your shots, because, say for instance, those main players break out and get a couple of kills there, the round's in their favour. This time it's not like last time, in the sense that Pacific were being quick, being proactive. It's Eternal Fire waiting for something, the defense to make the first move.
Yeah, and look at this. Echo is already all the way out on A. He's been known to do this over the last year or so as we've become more familiar with his character. Usually the player on the Ghost in these rounds, taking as many liberties as possible. And with Alorante, the only player to guard the A site from vents right now. That's how far back they are. It'll be an easy plant.
Well, it will be 5v5 retake. You're probably expecting Pacific to wait for the spike to explode. So overall, yeah, I think you look at the post-plant success rate it kind of sets you to favour Eternal Fire. So they go hunting for these orbs.
And look at the positions that they're holding right now. We saw this a lot against Vitality, the high line where they really want to stop the defenders having any comfort setting up for their retake, right? If you've got any scripted bits, any set pieces, you can't take up the position that you'd want to. Alorante does get the one freebie on Echo. But I think from that point, any residual is just saved.
I like that from Pacific, right? Give nothing away. Neki playing towards trying to get at least one of these orbs. Will get it in the end. And Seven's even found Neki there as well. So at least 3 rifles kept into the next one.
Yeah, looks like Ninja's already halfway to a Nightfall early on, but the reason why Necky's taking those fights is because he's now one off his own Nightfall.
Yeah.
And what a tool that will be for Eternal Fire heading into this bonus round. We spoke a couple of times already about Pacific being able to close out maps and it only being the difference of a couple. Well, Eternal Fire have won both pistols, where they failed to get the anti-eco before they have done now. A bonus on top makes all of the difference.
I'll find you.
Once again, Eternal Fire go for a slow roll, trying to play with the conditioning that everybody would expect for them to just hit you in the face as hard as possible and let you adapt. Pacific this time, though, are being forced all the way, slow and surely. Eternal Fire showing us a new face to their game.
Yeah, the A site is left hanging for them right now, as Heaven Control has already been steadily established, with Pacific now cut off through the Toxin. There was just a moment where it looked like Izzy could get found out, and Echo will have been heard dropping into this close corner.
Yeah, I think the barrel just got seen as well. Necky now going to activate on the flank, and I can't quite win out the duel, but it does create a little bit of delay in the retake.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's taking so long for Pacific to complete this rotation that actually even CNED is going back to reinvestigate the Heaven space, only now repealed. And with that, Necky also arriving late in main, but focus on the site as Ordaz is cornered. Util dropping up to his ankle. Seven has offed CNED with his own nade, and as Echo's able to stand his ground, the follow-up should be there. Or so you'd think. Alorante in a position of distress, and quite simply can't do enough to cope.
For a minute, though, I thought Necky would have put Pacific in an advantageous position, right? It's 4v5 on site. And on top of that, I know it's only a pistol, but numbers really matter in these situations. Pacific unluckily forcing CNED to get caught out there. And yeah, I mean, it's a big round to win out the bonus round, completely break the defensive buy. And Eternal Fire has shown us something different.
Setting up for this round, it's another garage default by the looks of it. Eternal Fire have been able to collect this orb pretty easily so far, but there is fight back from Pacific this time. Yeah, that push and pull as the utility will capture Cooper in the end.
Yeah, man, I think that from that point on, it should be easy enough. And that's it, right? I think that this is the next evolution for Eternal Fire, I guess, to think about going towards those playoffs. Is a nice kill from Necky to unlock the site, as they can't continuously be playing with this high-octane kind of fast-action play, because a team like Fnatic, for instance, they'll adapt to that. They'll have a game plan to come in to face that.
Yeah, there are teams towards the upper end, I think, that have the ability to be unperturbed by the style that Eternal Fire are playing, as this is an in-zone flawless for them, not for the first time so far in the map. But I think we also probably lack enough of those teams in EMEA, those cerebral teams that can actually crank the pace all the way down and stop what they're doing compared to other regions perhaps, or regions that play even heavier into it if you talk about Pacific, for example.
Yeah, agreed.
And right now, Pacific are looking for a solution themselves. This is half so far unanswered to the attack side.
Yeah, and I think that answer should come through CNED's operator. We know what he can be like once that comes online.
Oh no. Echo has missed the mid lineup. Fortunately enough for him, it shouldn't bear too much weight, considering the fact that this operator is posted towards A. That's what we've got to be looking at.
Yeah, it's now force the players to try and get active through mid a little bit quicker than expected. Nightfall and Showstopper invested as a couple of kills go elsewhere. Actually goes Pacific's way of all. And now the spike being down shows you exactly what can be done in the snap in an instance.
Yeah. I'm impressed by Pacific with that hold, but the question is, how repeatable will that be? One of the answers to these fast rounds that we see is countering it with some of your own more aggressive play. Cheeky angle from Seven, for example. The lineup there missing because I think the jump was a little too early, perhaps, but there you go.
Think you're surprised, I guess, maybe? I don't know what was going on, but listen, you're happy if you get the round. That's the main thing here. It's once again Eternal Fire go towards mid, do the same attacking lineup.
Speaking of lineups, looks like the Viper Orbs moved elsewhere. Over on A, where CNED will be inhibited here a little bit.
Valorante's changed his orb as well towards heaven to stop anybody trying to hit towards the B site, and they try and play forward in towards Audaz, who's not had the best of series, and given the advantage towards the defense.
Yeah, nice reclear called by Cupid, and actually a gap in the backline now opens up for 7.
Trying to work it as Favian now, all the way in towards defender spawn.
Did he get spotted?
Alo seeing it now, so that makes it an even bigger advantage for this defense. CNED now identifying the players trying to come up rope, and Eternal Fire really stalling out here.
Up on the line though, and numbers to stop the cross.
Denied in a minute, 30 seconds remaining to get this spike down, but it's stuck in heaven. Echo now trying to be another angle in which this attack can try and get on towards the site, but at the same time Pacific begin to close on in. Not even going to get a chance. Is this a flawless round perhaps for Pacific? The answer is no, but it's just as good. 4 players alive, doubling up the rounds and getting double digits for Pacific.
Exactly what they needed to respond, not just once, but 2 times over here, and it will force Eternal Fire to react with a timeout of their own. Brilliant shot from CNED there in transition. And you can see what the protocols look like for this Pacific side.
Yeah, I could give you another adjustment, Hazza. It's just hit E, it seems like.
Exactly, like just keep it direct, keep it straightforward. Neki is the spike bearer, so he's pretty far back on this to haunt them up ramp early on. The double duelist starting to dive in.
They're trying to play off their own wall and the conditioning that could possibly set, but with the toxins gone and 7 also off the board, this makes this a lot more doable. The Viper's pick seems to be wasted as well, so that's a great entry for CNED.
Yeah, brilliant shot from him. And now heading back into the retake. Ninja just 1 off of the Nightfall. CNED his own ult, and of course Cupid with the Cosmic Divide at this point in time. It's an all-in for Pacific if they go for it.
Just keep your eye on Favian for the moment as well, as he's towards main, maybe looking to try and get up ramp. Pacific try and decipher exactly what they want to do. It seems like a reclear towards ramp would be a good decision, but you're heading into what has been the most on-form player for Eternal Fire, and he's not going to miss a chance. So all 4 now look to bunker down on site, while the remaining 3 of Pacific have to try and get here, but time is running out.
I mean, Eternal Fire quickly identify the retakes coming from main, so they've adjusted brilliantly.
Yeah, that they have, and Eternal Fire have to fight their way out, which they'll do successfully. Only Valorant left alive with a rifle in his hands, and Eternal Fire are back within 1.
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of a fumble there from Pacific in terms of what the call was on the retake. They understood that they wanted to take away the main control, but from that point on, it's a really slow follow-up from the players behind Cupid here. Fabian finds this kill, and then it all just staggers completely. I don't know if the plan was to use his ult at all, because it's so situational, right? Especially on that site. The best example I can give probably is if you were retaking from screens and then you wanted to cut off where the spike was planted, but plenty of them still available here.
And that's what Pacific will be banking on. Remember, they also have 2 timeouts to use if they want to. Eternal Fire with none. But as they go down mid, Favian is the player caught off guard. A refight from Shops gets Neki his own. So we're still resting what I thought was a 4 versus 4. But it's not. As Eternal Fire got one more. CNED just jumping in towards site. Didn't realise there was a player below him. That was Echo. As it continues to be 1-on-1 consistently all around the map. And it seems as if we're going to even out 3v3.
Yeah, CNED's still hanging around here though.
Yeah, next fight against Echo, can't quite get the kill. Showstopper is good though, and so is 7. And it's just Echo within his pit that gets caught off guard. Big round for Pacific.
Perfect response. It feels like, how many times have we said that so far in this map, where Eternal Fire do a lot of the right things and then Pacific seem to have the right adaptation afterwards, which I couldn't necessarily say was the story against Fnatic. The improvements are there. And with a little bit of headroom now, 11 rounds up, as has been their average for the 3 times that they've played it so far. Do they have those last couple of rounds in them? Look at this. It's a big swing round in the sense that if Eternal Fire lose, they're broke.
Yeah, and they're going to use the ultimates to back it up. Echo through mid. You can feel the danger lurking through as he comes from behind. Pacific's retake, though, is getting underway as Echo comes through at the right time. But is it too late?
Oh!
The answer is yes! As Pacific's retake is successful, they'll go on to map point.
At such a critical juncture in the game, Pacific start to show the sort of metal that we've been waiting for them for weeks. That mental blockade that had been stopping them from unlocking true potential, now finally unshackled perhaps. It gets so chaotic. But who's there at the end of the tunnel? The light that can finally shine out of the dark, it's Cupid.
Yeah, but here we go, just a straight up execute to deny Pacific their first map here on Split, the first win. It's ended up going Cupid's way here, and Ninja as well. Pacific have got a brilliant start to this round.
I mean, Eternal Fire have absolutely nothing going for them at this point. There is no reason to take an extra duel.
Oh, it looks like they want to though. Is Valorant within this? Oh! Likes to put Eternal Fire to the sword! Pacific finally shows a map win!
And not just that, be Fracture, but at the same time, Cairo, it's the first time we've ever seen this map played from them.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing to think about, right?
The Ulf Core didn't even play this once in their history because it wasn't in the pool the entire Ascension run. So the expectations really non-existent. Can those scrims translate into an official? It's not started off the best, and Eternal Fire fighting back through here actually. Do get the better of it. Cupid's got to come up with the goods. He's empty-handed. Ordaz on the swivel. Makes it 4 to finish another pistol. Eternal Fire winning everyone so far.
Fired up and angry, as you said, have won every single pistol, but when Pacific were on the attack of Split, they were able to immediately bounce back. Can they do the same here? That's the big question we've got to be thinking about.
It is. And if we're talking map theory and what it is that Fracture really requires of you as a defender, it's getting aggressive, it's taking space. What are Eternal Fire good at? Exactly those things. So already we can sit here and hypothesize. Oh my God, what a word. Hypothesize a little bit about why it might be good for them. Cheeky so-and-so. But you're starting to see that put into play.
Yeah, I'm liking this from the attack, right? They realise what they need to do. They're going for the orbs. Echo's trying to deny this with the judge, so expecting him to get a couple here, and oh, it's not going the way you'd expect. This is exactly how that round in Split started, gaining a judge.
And no less, it is the Sentinel players left. Ordaz out to dry here!
This is doable. The spike goes down, and with a rifle in hand, Ninja has the Phantom.
Surely not 2 maps in a row. I mean, Pacific have the arcade control here. That's going to be huge. Ninja with a drone late.
Oh.
He's offline now.
Yeah, and that Phantom goes offline, as well as any utility that was left in pocket already. The pool gone. This is looking like a successful retake for Eternal Fire. That judge coming through.
Yeah.
Couple of rifles, getting the kills. It's up to CNED. His Phantom looking decent. Doesn't have the slide. Has to try and hit his shots now as Fabian tries to bait him out. Bullets are getting low here. He needs to hit his shots, and he's not doing it. His time goes away. Oh, no! Pacific answer straight back. It's exactly like Split.
You know, they say it takes 2 to tango. I don't know what kind of a wide peak we just saw to end it, but it's a Red Bull clutch that goes in favor of Pacific. And so 2 maps in a row, they found an immediate equalizer. You and me on a Friday night, mate.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Oh, dancing shoes on.
Oh, right, okay. Straight back in. Pacific take advantage in terms of economy. And it seems like Eternal Fire want to play this on the front foot.
If you don't want to go dancing again, man, that's fine. You just tell me. Cooper has had enough of the silly business. 3 quick kills, lays down the law.
Player standing.
And Valorant doing the same on the other extremity. I mean, look, gotta sound like a broken record talking about Eternal Fire and some of the rounds we've seen from them. Obviously, this is an eco. The expectations are lifted off, but into the gun rounds, gotta see a little bit more from how they're playing, because it's been so risky.
Yeah, and I agree, right? But the thing is, though, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's the kind of the play style.
It's like Echo with a judge solo in a smoke there in Arcade on that second round. Just scary stuff, you know? You don't want to give the shotgun to the players there if there's no possibility at a trade, as Pacific keep a lot of their guns here in Zone Flawless.
Yeah, they do, all of them. And I think, I agree, but that just sums up Eternal Fire. They want to play forward, play on the ones. You know the individuals are good. And with a 42% win rate in EMEA as a whole, could a Pacific add to that?
I mean, it's interesting, actually, that's what the statistic is, because I can't remember a memorable veto performance, I think, in this region. So Pacific, obviously one of the teams, maybe the only team that have lent into it here. Izzy is able to find exactly that. Alorante early on in B main, rest of the pressure being created from Arcade side, but Pacific pumped the brakes for a moment.
Yeah, looking to try and respond and scale up with the utilities. Favian, who was MVP of Split, tries to be MVP of this map, but takes a step too far.
They just continue that progression, and it's the peak with no utility tower back into the shotgun, which you didn't necessarily know was going to be there, but Eternal Fire kind of making decisions on their lonesome right now. Is he still propping up the other end of the map? But the spike's got a long way to go.
Oh, it does. Cupid's gone investigating in this time, maybe for a full wrap, who knows? Eternal Fire maybe beginning to doubt themselves with a Cosmic Divide going in. You can hear the steps starting to go away. So when do Pacific make their move? It seems like now, as the players make their way out of tower, the stars going in. This is the Eternal Presence that you can see, but it's the Eternal Fire that continues to burn Pacific.
Great kills. Now the remaining players in through tower again. I mean, Seven just needs to create space.
It does. Planting open is not what you want to do. As Cupid now basically goes into a death match. With time so low, he needs to get the spike. It is done, and it's Echo to finish out. 2-2, a great chance for Pacific, but just a little bit overcooked.
Perhaps. I think, honestly, the fake there from Cupid was perfect. I don't think it was confirmed that either of those rotations happened just because of the distance on the audio. Making their way back through spawn. But then here, there's just no solid ground to stand on. Eternal Fire feeling good about themselves as Izzy's Ock finds value again.
Looks like Echo is going for some kill trips towards that B site. And Pacific leaving the Veto all alone towards the bridge side, while the rest begin to work their way towards that B main.
You can see there the Interceptor trying to shut down some of that utility as Alorante is on the spawn side for the attack right now, as again they take Arcade and scale onto the site.
Oh, and Echo's caught. Oh my god, the kill's just going Pacific's way every time. Evolution gone off the board, and now Echo trying to brawl his way through. We'll give information to Izzy. This operator in a 1 versus 4, I do not fancy this hazard.
No, it does have the ult to fall back on and a full utility belt, but it's such a costly maneuver to make when you look at the money on the Fire side. Better to just save it off.
Surely, right? Like, that's the key win here. Is as he holds at least a line to make it expensive for Pacific.
Yeah, he's looking for an exit. He's going to get one. I want to come back to this conversation about the Veto, though. I think of all the teams that I remember seeing running it, the only one that springs to mind immediately would have been Global Esports in Pacific during kickoff.
Yeah.
I think it was Udatan piloting it there. And actually, it was Seven playing the Veto for Pacific in their own kickoff run. And where you get the most value out of the kit is where you're taking this forward space using the chokehold, the trip. A lot of teams love to play this agent like it's a killjoy and just put the alarm bot down. But when you have a global piece of utility that can actually challenge a lane, it works really nice on Fracture, so I want to see the further development of this. Of course, the evolution doesn't get any value here.
Nice!
But Eternal Fire sweating a bit, perhaps. It's a timeout called in response. For many people, the dead weight in the group, right? The one win that you're expecting to get. You write it off, but you can't write off a single team in this league, or you will pay maximum punishment, and that's exactly what it's looked like so far.
Yeah, I think like Pacific are not like teams of the past, right? Like Apex or Koi or anybody else that we've seen towards the bottom part. As we can see already, Pacific are looking to scale their way in towards the site. Echo's Judge blinded up, not going to get what he was looking for, and neither is Ordaz. Right now, it's looking good. As Eternal Fire drip feed into the site, and Pacific will eat good.
Happy to just invest that one ultimate to make sure they've got a clean point of entry on CNED. Is he already heading for the hills? And as time drags on, you should expect Pacific to chase this.
CNED is at least. His rifle not going to connect though. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, kill back in their favor, but it doesn't really matter a whole bunch.
I actually kind of like it that they delayed the plant a little bit as well there, just to see if maybe they could keep the attention of Izzy. But it's only Fabian saving now, and to build on what you were saying about ascended teams in the past, I don't think you could probably put two teams together that were more opposite when they had ascended, right? Because you look at Ulf here and, the previous Ulf core, right now Eternal Fire, as an organization, they'd only been able to keep one player, Izzy, the whole time, and that was it. They've absorbed the core of a previous team, whereas Pacific, they've had to fully rebuild themselves from what was that BBL golden generation to now something different. But contrasting to what we have seen in the past, I think Pacific are actually very similar to an Apex in the sense that maybe, you know, they haven't won that first series yet. They've got close a lot of times with some off-meta picks like the Veto, and we saw the Deadlock with Apex in the past. So,
but the question that I've got for you though, like Apex ascended with their core intact, right? You think of the Moseys, like, you know, the only player they lost was Kayak. So in that way, they have more in common with Eternal Fire than what they do Pacific.
Yeah, and Soulcast, of course. I think that was a big one too. But no, I completely agree with you, right? It's a process, and one which takes time to build around, but now we're starting to see the fruits of Pacific's labor coming into the full purchase for both. This is a real opportunity to put Eternal Fire to the sword. Huge exchange between the ops, and as the first shot fires off, CNED knows all too well what Izzy's up to.
It's a big entry point, but in terms of kills, not in terms of map taken, as we can see double drones being used up by Eternal Fire here. As there's a pause, and Eternal Fire starting to doubt themselves. You can see maybe interested, are they going back towards A? And I don't even think Pacific know what they're doing just yet.
Hypok was saying it last week, but CNED in this side would be the easy target, right? But I have to say, the commitment Pacific have made to him here, and just some of the rounds, how they're setting him up, is already looking way better on his rise back in the VCT where he'd struggled before. Ult coming in here to just suppress the players towards Gen, but you've already seen a sidestep from Neki. He's playing in and around the smoke as the spike is getting ready to be planted. A counter ult prepared on the Eternal Fire side to just delay this. But crossing the 25-second mark, Pacific really, again, not in such a comfortable position for this post-plant.
Yeah, but they've not, Eternal Fire don't really have utility to retake, so it's just straight up fights.
And that's where it starts to benefit Ninja in the open air. That operator has changed hands, and now, with him bestowing it, it's easy enough to find the first. The trade, not so much. Plenty of utility to fall back on in this situation. Cupid almost with a full belt of stars as they're dropped to the side. The fight's taken on the front foot. The Fire can't do it. And so Pacific with 5 now, and another buy broken.
Operator saves straight back up. As you said, I think Pacific do so well to bleed the utility dry and leave Ninja in such a strong position with that operator. Nice trade of the dogs, but overall, I mean, it's the ultimates that get used in that last round that don't find the value.
The first pick and just hitting the pause button is huge for me too. Speaking of setup and CNED, that is a brilliant example of how they've just been enabling him at his strengths compared to, you know, when he was on Omen in Stage 2 last time. Is he still with this operator, which feels like it's managed to survive like a zombie round to round? I mean, it's actually a full investment here. They've spent every last credit to get it online. Not leaving too much behind in its wake. Fabian really going to dry peek this?
Looks like it.
I mean, he spotted the corner, but they've not seen CNED yet.
Well, the drone was about to confirm it. This, for the most part, eco round, as you said, like operator in play for Izzy, but he's towards Arcade and easily dealt with in the end.
I think he's probably going to be considering just walking away and trying to keep that in the next, yeah. It's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, Echo's invested into a judge. Do you try and fling that forward?
No, I mean, it's like the most exposed site there possibly is. If you're not retaking from Arcade, you have no chance. Already spotted out, the spam will clear him. With Izzy's op yet to be revealed, Pacific, those cogs start to turn and you start to realize, hang on a second.
Yeah.
There is a snake in the grass and that will confirm it.
Well, Izzy already has his ultimate, so if you fling bodies at him, it's not really that much of a problem, especially with the economy that Pacific have. But it looks like they're happy with the round, happy with getting up towards 6. And the question I have, Hazza, if you're Eternal Fire, when do you think about pressing that second timeout?
I mean, we've seen them in the past actually go for a pretty early double timeout. I think it might have been in that Vitality game where they were trailing at a scoreline similar to this on Lotus, which would be our decider if we go to it. So Afro has shown that he knows exactly where that button is and isn't afraid of going for it if he thinks it's required.
One enemy remaining.
But Fracture sometimes can feel like a map where if you're all in on a certain area and there is no answer back, freaky Alorante, then you don't know if your setup is bad or not, right? It's like, are they going to play into us? And actually, looks like he has the antidote here.
Seems to be the case, but it is just the drone sent forward instead. You can see right now, Eternal Fire considering a crunch, but I thought the players on the A main would have taken a step further, instead scared as the drone sent towards the B portion, and Pacific again slow scale and completely bleed Eternal Fire dry.
Eternal Fire also playing, you know, pretty passive in this position, all things considered. Izzy, with the absence of a breach, is the connective tissue between the two sites. The first responder with that operator. He's been called into action towards A, but I mean, there's very little pressure there. It's only now this dog starting to come through, which draws your attention.
Alo needs to be careful because he's going up against the operator and gives himself up. So advantage towards the defense. The first time I've seen that in a while.
Nice use of the salvos here. Should clear Fabian out.
Seems to be the case. Is CNED towards Arcade all by himself towards the site. Pacific need to get a move on now, guys, because the time is getting too low.
Oh. Full rotation with 30 seconds. This could be an absolute blinder if Pacific are able to pull this off, but still a lot of ground to cover and still that Cypher util up.
Yeah, big if, big question, and it is Audaz to hold it down himself. Didn't have the best first map, could make up for it here if he shows us the good, supported by the Cypher utility. All he needs to do is deny the spike plan, but as he's already here to help with that, as he's got 3 on the round, and it's just left all alone to Ninja. Does he have the time? The answer is no. And it will end up being an Eternal Fire round.
Yeah.
What?
It's I don't know what. It's a frustrating one for Pacific, I think, because if Alorante had stayed alive in main here and not got caught by Izzy, then they would have had a platform to actually make this A take happen later on into the round. But it's all left a little bit too soon at that point in time. So Eternal Fire have got there first.
This goes here.
First in 5, that is. And this is where we see the change up.
Launching missile.
Just straightforward. Starting now to ask questions of the A side as they look towards Sand, actually, as the entry, and it's Echo to be involved. And continues to be, actually. Big information to come through in terms of the retake is still, you can see Pacific trying to scale in. 3-on-3. Fabian tries something special, but it's Delight and Neki, one of his own. 1v3 Alorante, what have you got for us? Can't quite connect the heads. known for his sharp shooting. Can he show it here? The answer is no. Okay, 2 rounds now in a row for Eternal Fire.
And the distance starting to close. It's this stage in the game where we really test the character of Pacific and see if they have what it takes to stay in this division. Because, of course, with 2027 on the horizon, we have no idea what this team looks like at that point. But for now, every single one of those players wants to prove themselves, because then how cooked are we, you know? Who knows?
For sure, mate, for sure. Right, now we're straight back in. Last 2 rounds after a break. Both teams get to try it once again. Pacific identifying that the B side was definitely a massive weakness, so they've put the Operator and the Cypher towards here, and nobody's given Izzy anything. And Pacific go 1 step further in towards the spawn, and the site anchors are questioning themselves, where has everybody gone?
Oh, it's a brilliant change-up, straight from the strat book. Izzy being washed over here by Valorant, who is expecting that kind of a push to come through. Timing for Echo. Oh, catches it delightfully.
Yeah, that is it. So Valorant gets put into a Joker position, and 7 caught on the site. Has to play from within, supported by Cooper. Spike not committed. It's a dangerous one if Echo plays beyond the Cosmic Divide. And a ping just for the players to come out. Valorant is there on time, and Pacific up to 7. Similar scoreline to that last map.
Yeah, 1 more round win, and Pacific will have an 8th for 2 maps in a row, despite the fact they haven't won a single pistol yet. And that was, again, an area of focus from Cooper. This is a brilliant change-up. And while you said Valorant had that lurch positioning, in the end, it's just him fighting at the front of the Astral Wall that wins the round for them. They had to be aggressive there because they didn't have the safety net of main.
You can see already this is a set piece for Pacific to try and flush players out of main.
A bit of a gamble on someone being aggressive here. Doesn't look like Eternal Fire had really done this too many times so far.
No, out through sand, 7 catches Audaz, so it's Echo all alone towards the top of site, playing amongst his cages. Can the players try and identify the dog? Shoot, as he's now a little bit hot under the collar. That's exactly the case. A couple of trades either way, leaves it Pacific in the advantage, but does it to clutch up in a 1v2?
No reason to get flustered here. Taken over peak, it's a 2v1. Big chance for Pacific.
7 still with the flash. That's a big info piece if he wants to use it, but would rather rely on his rifle. And ends up, going up against Izzy, who misses his shot and gives Pacific a massive gap between their opponents.
Oh, it got so antsy there as well. 7 shuffling his hands in his pockets, not knowing whether he wanted to take the peak or not. Ended up getting very, very close, but what a round and what it could mean here for Pacific. Unless Eternal Fire fight back, we're going to be heading over for an interview with one of their co-streamers, Diamond.
Yeah, we're only a couple of doors down from them, but the tension right now, Eternal Fire, what's happened, man? You're in the building, you're bringing them some bad...
Pacific could be at the peak of their powers. Could this be the perfect time for them to find form at the end of this group and perhaps snatch away a win that nobody thought possible?
Well, they'll need a pistol round to have the best possible odds, and it is a fantastic start. Echo takes 1 to the dome as he'll scale away across the zip line into the site. It's absolute chaos, but Pacific starting to find the shots. That's when Neki notches 1 back. A 3-on-2 with both players retaking bridge.
Yeah, they're going to be there fairly late, to be honest, and with no utility. Echo, that's a clean fight.
That was the low player. Little utility left, like you say, but it's this cute reposition from Neki that could be so pivotal. Frenzy in hand. If he walks off the angle, he perhaps leaves Audaz a little bit exposed inside the site. But again, his reprisal is bang on. And with Audaz nailing the shot onto Cooper, that's 4 from 4 for the Fire.
Yeah, 4 from 4 pistols, but not a single map won. And that's the important part here.
Yeah. And 2 anti-ecos lost as well.
Yes.
Let's see how much better that can get, right? They picked up the bonus on split. If I'm correct, they were able to tie up the scoreline and take the lead away from Pacific before we really saw them show signs of life. So more than anything else, if we're talking about the defender side closing out here, It has to be playing to your percentages.
I'm seeing Pacific buy up a bucky here, right? I'm not saying that like Seven's going to be the man to win the round, but already Eternal Fire are beginning to doubt themselves as they start the round slowly, but not the half.
Did he just shoot?
Yeah.
Don't know what he was trying to do with that one, but
Maybe hit his mouse on his monitor arm or something like that.
maybe. Eternal Fire just aware of the threat of a push-up, and two players have already been spotted here on A.
Nice delay.
A little bit of pushback on the utility, but no real way to capitalize off this. Cna's just running in like a headless chicken. Neki is going to walk away with one. But that's not quite the trade that Pacific would have wanted.
Yeah, as he's got in towards spawn, but they are heading towards Seven's bucky. I don't want to invest everything into this, but surely not, right?
I mean, it's a 2 versus 4 now, right? No chance. It's not like the shotguns had any part to play in those anti-ecos that they won before. I mean, they know there's a player here.
Yeah, they know. They should have done. It's never happening.
You wouldn't walk into
Spike
him.
planted.
It just wouldn't make sense. Illogical, right?
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's why Ninja's going to try and come round, support Seven from this side. I think. Oh,
No, he's not.
no, he's not, mate.
He's not.
He's on his own.
No, he's just he's taking the Pacific bus to the other side of the map. He's not missed the bus this time.
He's certainly not missed the bus. The bus seems to be intact at this point in time.
And Echo's done a brilliant job at finding one through the wall, so you don't have to fight the shotgun, but you are getting paid, and it's a brilliant payoff in the round. And so it's just 2 rounds now, the gap, and this is where Eternal Fire winning a bonus makes things scary.
Yeah, it would, right? We've seen it before, but overall, I think the part here is that we've actually seen Eternal Fire convert the anti-eco in the second half, and that's some skinny points in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start to look towards the next one. Every player with a rifle in their hand. This round is a powder keg. This is a round that we need to pay attention to, and one that we should not discount Eternal Fire from.
Not at all. Seven already positioning up close. He isn't the contact, but has a flash for the rest to play off. A pack here on the Pacific side, and as they emerge from the smoke, the fire start to fall flat. The kill's coming up, and it's Neki again. The captain holding the torch with the rest of the fire following. Another 3 versus 2, and how eager are Pacific to give this a shot?
I mean, Cooper has 1 star in his pocket and 1
Spike
coming
planted.
back, so at least there's that in their favour.
When it comes to Valorant, there's 1 crosscut, a singular TP to maybe close the distance, but even then the animation too long to really create a serious threat.
Neki also has 2 mollies, that's the other thing to consider.
Yeah, and with this one placed in the middle of the site, there's just so much ground to cover. Pacific continuing to creep, and as that happens, the hairs on the back of their necks standing up, and this needs to be the moment Valorant finds the all-important kill. Last 2 players locked away in the tower, and with the half secured through Cooper, there is still half a chance here. That second salvo dropping in, and he's forced to backtrack from it in the end. A shot through the shoulder blades. Eternal Fire bagged the bonus.
And that's what the perfect post plan looks like. Eternal Fire play for their win conditions, know that Neki has the mollies, and why would you put bodies on the line when you don't need to? Perfectly played, and that's how you do it as Eternal Fire. You look for your win conditions and play for them.
Chuck.
Already, the way that Pacific are playing this defender side, it feels like they're inviting that pressure rather than looking straight for the immediate solutions. The contact taken and Eternal Fire trading out. The micro on this side so strong again. Into another eco with a singular shotgun. It's their own in the hands of Izzy that's opened up the site to start. Still 2 players backfilling this, but Ninja is in a corner which should be easily cleared from the players in main. And saying that, he's the only one to find a kill.
Player standing.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the only kill that's going to happen in this round as Cupid's left all alone towards the B portion.
Hot potato.
Yeah, trying to decide who gets the ultimate up first, and it will be Favi in his priority, as Odaz is hunting for his to come online.
Yeah, this would be a huge kill. Looks like a guarantee. I say that. Cupid's got a bit of bite.
Yeah.
Leaves a mark on Ordaz. 1 HP left, but the Brim ult brought into the next, as is the Armageddon already on Neki as well. Some very, very big tools that Eternal Fire will have at their disposal. And this is where the snowball starts to build and where Pacific are asked those tough questions again.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is the question. Can you bounce back? Can you deal with in the face of adversity? You know, 3 big ultis in the pocket for Eternal Fire. Oh, and Echo not hitting his shots. That's a big point.
Unreal.
That is a really big point. And at least at the same time, Eternal Fire respond. They're going to take the site and they're going to have post plan.
But they're starting to use some of those tools early on to claw back a kill. And with that, actually, Pacific, one less thing to worry about in this retake when they have ults of their own. Look at Ninja.
Yeah, Pacific now starting their own movement straight back into this with the spike planted in the middle of sight.
Oh!
Big kills coming through from Pacific. So what have Izzy and Neki got for us in terms of a clutch? Ninja considering his ultimate as Neki goes and tries to brawl. Why would you do that? Because you left Izzy all alone and Pacific a chance back in.
Flawless retake from Pacific. Playing the patient game and just waiting for the fights to come to them. Ninja doesn't invest the ultimate there either. And so they still have plenty of tools in the next where Eternal Fire were all in. This little bit of aggression at the start through CNED as well was exactly what the Doctor ordered.
Yeah, it's lovely stuff. I mean, I love the fact that Pacific, they take the main spot and then they know that, listen, we've got this little underpass. We can either go from Arcade, we can go from elsewhere, and you can see a little bit of frustration there on the player cams.
In zone flawless to find the first of the half for Pacific. And with advantages now in the ult economy, it looks like they want to go for another proactive play here. Waiting for a little bit of contact perhaps, and if that ult had come in a second sooner, it would have caught Neki inside the stealth drone, but he will safely enough make his way out of dodge.
I'm wondering, like, if Pacific realised a bit of, like, utility that indicates where the execute comes from. Does it come from that drone? And that's why you saw the ultimate being used. I mean, they would be correct because the take actually comes from Dish this time.
And with that ult for Ninja gone now, the A retake feels a little bit more puzzling. The main control is still the most pivotal aspect to this because if Eternal Fire want to completely execute through drop and Dish, it's an issue to actually get onto the site, and so they full cancel and start to wrap back around.
Yeah, they're starting to doubt it, and the Seekers will identify this for Pacific. Echo is on site. Alorante, if he wins this, could decide the round.
And it's Cooper instead over his shoulder to set it up. Pacific a player to the good, coming into what is such an important round for them to win and keep that streak going. Fabian trading out, but it's Ninja over the top. Twice the numbers now. Beyond this Astra wall, Fabian has to find so much. Ordas there with him, and already the kill's starting to come in, but CNED's ready to play. Bang, he just walks up to the wall, slap in the face from Ordas. Cooper, nothing left for them, and Eternal Fire win the 2v4.
Of course it had to be Fabian to get the kills. He has been unbelievable for Eternal Fire. But the one thing is, Pacific, they had their chance, Hazza, and will they be counting that and thinking about that later tonight? Because Eternal Fire should have had no right to win this round.
No right at all. You could see what CNED was trying to do, just ducking and weaving in the Astra wall, trying to bait out those first few shots, but then the gaps in the synergy start to show up. And Pacific miss a huge opportunity. One which they may rue the mistake of, but as it stands, still purchasing power on their side. Attack side op from Izzy, yet to be spotted as he goes back on the line for more. Valorant now all too aware of it.
It's Cooper here in the cage pop as well towards the A side, calling CNED back. Nearly had a fight on the spike holder. As Cooper begins to round the corner, misses his chance on Ordas, or does he?
No, takes a brilliant one. Echo lurk timing though, yet to be spotted! CNED with a no-scope, how about one more? CNED still going, but Eternal Fire respond.
Keep the advantage as well, Pacific. So in a 3 versus 2, Eternal Fire need to get that spike back.
And it looks like actually, Neki's just going to run it the whole 9 yards over to B. Echo gets caught in transition. A 1 versus 3 for the captain, where he swapped out to the operator.
Yeah, that's not the weapon you want, so Neki has to show us something brilliant. I like this.
Exactly what you've got to try and do. Get the numbers back on side. Pacific not willing to give away a single fight in this situation.
And why would you? Time's so low, it should give nothing away.
Valorant has a TP, I'm not quite sure where it's to, but out of the conversation now, as Neki does go looking again for that next duel. Unable to win it, shot down by Ninja, and Pacific retake the lead.
Yeah, pressure now on a completely different scale, right? Pacific up to double digits, can see that finish line for this series in sight, something that they've never seen before, and this from CNED, it's wicked sick.
Yeah, sure. It is, I suppose. It has been said. Vintage stuff from CNED. And looking at it here again, Pacific with the ults. Gonna take a while for Eternal Fire to build those back up. I mean, barely a credit to their name. 1,400 or so between the members that do still have cash in pocket.
Go, go, go.
And again, they've doubled down on this sniper from the attack side.
It's the evolution as well, right? No utility to move Valorant from any position. It has to be straight up gunfights. As it's Echo all alone towards the beat.
How many times have we seen him get picked off? Cyber Cage comes out, but this is a telegraph, perhaps, that Pacific are trying to read into. They should understand now that that is the lurk. Still 3 players strong-siding on the A site. But the first player to come under fire is Echo. Again, that lurk goes short.
Yeah, and now the go button press for Eternal Fire, but they've been stalled out for the moment. The utility sent forward. Those smoke stopping as to get on a line. But look at Pacific, proactive as ever.
Valorant closing up the distance on the flank. 2 or 3 players ready to attack main, but maybe just waiting for the German to walk up and what would be the first win for him on home soil. The first of his kind. It's Neki he's got to beat, though, and that's when we come back to reality. A kill that just peels away the presence and stops Pacific from getting back in. Izzy bulkering down. First kill picked up from the operator, but Ninja does trade it. Still a 3-on-3, and it all hangs in the balance. CNED pops the ult to try and close the distance, but he is going to drop down to Wardaz, who's had a couple kills already, and the last falls onto Neki. So with it, we are on equal terms again with 20 played.
10 to 10, both on double digits, and a round that could have went either way. That's a few of these, actually, once we think about it. Comes down to these engagements. A real brawly type of map. And that's what you should expect from Fracture, right?
Yeah. It's that lack of utility, really, to condemn anyone on the default box, though, that makes it an issue for Pacific. Some of the pieces they'd maybe used earlier on. See, the op is out here for CNED, and it's set up with this flash. Echo again in the firing line. Again, he is dead.
Yeah, he's had a really rough map so far. That spike now over to safety on the attacker spawn. But they're looking to hit into Aloe and Cupid.
He feels like such a late win condition, right? 16 and 16 right now. He isn't in the red, but it's the impact some of these kills have had, perhaps. Rotation called off of the opening engagement from Pacific, perhaps reading between the lines on the presence of the Cypher player this time.
Yeah, but they're moving in towards CNED, in towards that operator.
Maybe that's where the problems start to arise for Eternal Fire. The spike carrier here as well on Fabian, but actually, yeah, it looks like they are going to pivot back, and that's because Izzy has one laid up on Aloe, caught in transition.
Oh, the shots connect for Cupid though, and Seven's here in the right spot. Time to delay, and these players for Eternal Fire need to get a move on. Big kill though.
35 seconds, now coming to the point of no return. Eternal Fire a decision to make, and it looks like they're fully committed to the B play. Reposition into Arcade from Cupid. Didn't hear the jump up. Fabian has the backstab, but they're completely split here. It all comes down to the individuals, and with time continuing to tick away, Fabian gets the kill he needs.
Yep, opens up the site. That is a big ultimate to create more delay. Look at that time.
Ninja still with a stun here to try and play back through. CNED can be set for the same. Drops into the corner, just misses out. All eyes on Ordaz, has to do the heavy lifting. Falls to Fabian, finds the first. One more! It's Ninja at the death!
A massive kill, a massive round to win, keeps Pacific in an advantage. Remember, this is map 2. This is series point for Pacific, and Ninja's showing up at the right time.
Ninja, someone who when he first stepped onto the stage didn't look like the same self that we saw kicking it in challenges just last year. The confidence that he has grown since arriving in Berlin, translating then into moments like this.
Give me that shit, baby!
Sending Pacific into raptures. And with the timeout called on the Eternal Fire side, you might just be looking at last chance here.
Could feel like last chance, but it has
Self-proclaimed best in the region. We know that there's been a lot of talk from the Turkish teams, but Eternal Fire are the ones that have backed it up. So if Pacific, ruled out of so many matches already, can be the first to draw blood from them since Fnatic, then those conversations keep on continuing.
They've got rid of the trip from the veto as they look to go straight in and stop anything coming their way, any sort of denial, but it's Cooper that denies him through his Guardian. Ends up settling a 2v2, but you need to get that spike back, and this is a key point. Neki, Phantom in hand, fighting forward! Oh my god, Neki! Where does that come from?
A heaven-sent double from the Phantom, and there might just be one more twist in this tale. 11-all through the Red Bull clutch of the captain. And after this fight to the death on site with a quick rotation from Pacific, you thought they had it in their hands. How many times has that been the story for a team yet to take their first win? And could this be the beginning of the turnaround?
This is the difference between good teams and great teams as Pacific get put down to an equal. If they could win back here, I think it would be unprecedented. Sure, they've done it on anti-ecos, but on a round like this, there should be no chance in hell.
Seeing it with the judge, he's the first responder, trading places in the smoke. That was the only real way into the round, you feel, for Pacific here. Having a player in the right position with any kind of an upgraded weapon. Slight delay on the plant, but I think you can quite clearly see here that there is little ambition to give this a go if you're Pacific right now. And that has to be for a multitude of reasons. Fabian, Izzy, and Echo all one away from their ultimates.
And that's the thing that has to be on your mind, because if they have that online for the last round, that's your win conditions got, right?
The most oppressive ults you could have. Ordaz Orbital Strike already holding on to it. And Neki, of course, investing his Armageddon, the Teho ult already, so looks like Eternal Fire want to give this a little bit of a go, see what it is they're able to find. 7 passes the first test, and I don't think there should be too many more of these, all right? Echo dropped, and Ninja another. So, speaking of ults, he's now just 2 away from his own Teho ult.
Yeah, it goes from favouring Eternal Fire to maybe favouring Pacific. I mean, it's either or, right? Both are going to have a buy coming back in. 4 ultimates online for Eternal Fire. It was pretty good going, to be honest.
And actually looking at the money here, because Ordaz was on a Bulldog, he's not going to be able to upgrade through the money. Neki is 50 credits short and doesn't want to sell a single piece of utility, so that's where it starts to get interesting. CNED picking the Judge back up again, but this is it.
Yeah, it makes sense. You want to have that post-plant utility for Neki. That's the big thing. And it comes through, perhaps decided through an A brawl as either side send it in. It all comes through the drone in terms of info, but CNED's Judge comes through, spamming in. Kills going Pacific's way initially, but that could be the change. That could be the way in terms of Eternal Fire winning this map. As CNED retreats and tries to give it up, Eternal Fire look to bear on down.
He needs a reposition here, a solid one. Valorant doesn't get enough, and CNED CNED falls at the very end, 13-11, and it's that man on your screens which dug Eternal Fire out of a bad situation.
But Deadlock coming in, an agent that's so underutilized in the current meta that's had next to no changes since the last time we've seen it played.
I think, with the change up in initiators as well, there was potentially a conversation to be had for Deadlock. Nice to see the Vice in there as well. So plenty of stopping power on the defender's side, but that immediately makes you want a Pacific pistol to try and right the ship. And for all the chances they've had to get their first in this series, this looks like the best.
Yeah, but Eternal Fire, every single time that we've seen any good chances on a pistol, have immediately fought back. And with Echo being deposited on B main, we need to keep note of that. That Deadlock wall is going to cause serious issues for Eternal Fire. That's why they're being forced through tree. And it still continues on with CNED finding Echo, who's been really found out since that last map.
3 already picked up on the Sheriff with that late timing from B main. Neki looking for something here, trying to scour away if he possibly can. As soon as he's receptive of any pressure, you can see actually, Audas wants to try and set this up with a paranoia. The problem is the net lands at his captain's feet, so while he's trying to go ahead and dig this one out, Seven's just backtracking, inviting that presence. And so with it, Pacific do get the pistol, the all-important one.
Yeah, that is it, right. Straight back into the decided map, pistol round win. And I like it from Pacific. They have a double stack on towards B. It's an awkward one for Eternal Fire to fight with. And then you can already see the impact that a Deadlock can have, forcing out utility to save players. CNED already hitting his shots.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a huge test for Eternal Fire because... just losing it on every front here. Yeah, just like if they're going to be able to break this Pacific side down, because it's a completely different style. This is effectively a best of one now. A Fnatic team which likes to play slow, likes to work the map on their attack side. It's very different to an Eternal Fire team which is all in a lot of times, and that's what we're seeing on Sand here.
Last player standing.
Echo, the last player remaining. His position has been noted. So it's as easy as you like in the anti-eco, but to just come back to what I was saying, it's a very different style of play.
100%, right? Like it's a kind of making yourself an unmovable object versus an unstoppable force, it sometimes feels like in Eternal Fire. At least that's what it was last week. But it seems like Pacific have the answers to that.
I could knife you. Next time I knife you. Be careful.
Good guy, Aloe.
Yeah, a change of tone from the at least you're not 13-0 until whatever it was last week. But I think it'll be interesting to see if Eternal Fire do get into a post-plant, what a potential retake could look like for Pacific. Of course, their tools are typically bound to the sites they're set up on. Here's a bit of proactivity in B main up against the bonus. Fabian does a brilliant job to handle it. 3 kills from him picked up. And Seven left searching with the Sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, as Seven comes back in with the Sheriff, Fabian, we've been creating a lot of comparisons with him and Leroy from BBL, just because both Breach players, flawless finishes out, both formerly great Breach players, but now starting to look at it from a perspective of transitioning in towards that kind of aggressive flex player on towards the second duelist.
I think really Fabian is such a difference maker in this Eternal Fire team as he joined to set them on their Stage 3 run last year. And that ability to run a secondary duelist, like you said, has slotted perfectly into the meta as it has developed from kickoff.
Where are you?
Looking at it here, this is an opportunity for them to keep building on the attack side where Pacific have garnered momentum previously and taken their foot off the gas pedal. Already Eternal Fire taking B main for themselves. Some precious real estate when you look at the setup.
Another double stack for Pacific here, but they are going to respect the B main pressure and a pivot perhaps to come through towards C.
This is a really nice read from Pacific as well. They're not anticipating that B play to come in fully. Barrier mesh drops, but they have sensors there. They're ready to fight back onto C.
Oh, but that's a great nade. The players within the smoke still there, and a nice information grab by Audas. And CNED now all alone on site, trying to respect this one and not give anything away. Although being so low, he might not get a chance to fight back in.
Yeah, needed a kill on the way back through, but Seven's so far advanced.
Yeah, he has been mercurial and looks to do it again! A big 3K! Brings it into a 2v1. Remember, CNED so low a body shot would
30
be
seconds
enough.
left.
But given enough space, Neki goes back onto site. Spike in the back pocket, tries to use it to his advantage. Waits for the next fight, and it's a brilliant one onto Cooper. That was the full health player. And now against CNED, who is already low. Beyond his years, Neki shows us the goods.
Another Red Bull clutch. Not dissimilar to the one he picked up at the end of Fracture, but it's moments like that, really, which make all of the difference in these games, where, like the desk was talking about, Pacific miss out in micro moments, showing just a little bit of disconnect between them. Cupid going on a wide swing there, no follow-up, and Neki reading the situation perfectly.
I mean, should have let him try and attempt to plant the spike, right? Surely you're going to fight back to try and get numbers in your favour, but with that, you break the defenders by, you get ultimates online. Eternal Fire looking in a brilliant spot now to really start to garner that advantage on this attacking half.
One of the questions I had for Pacific at the start of the day, looking at their stage in many ways, having little left to fight for if they don't win this one, of course, where do the improvements come, you know? And what is it that's missing for them to go ahead and take that win, improve on their efforts? And it's just got to be in those finer details, really. Looking at these rounds, whether that's a comms thing, whether that's just time spent playing together. But if they keep the lineup for stage 2, that's a whole year. And of course, I think Thinky was pretty candid with his answer. That's what you're building towards, one step at a time.
Toxins going up.
Yeah, I mean, you think towards it. Right now, right, if you can win this map, kind of put yourself as, like, they've been made out to be the team difficult to beat. And if you can continue that, like, in towards Split 2, build upon it a little bit more on what has been a great foundation, I think, yeah, this could look very decent for Split 2 with that champ spot on the line, but only to find out if they truly can evolve into a team like that, because right now, I think they would just be a playoff contender, even if they were able to build into a pretty decent team.
Eternal Fire hunting down the ecos at the end here, but to just bounce off what you're saying, yeah, you've got to consider, even if you don't make playoffs directly in stage 2, you have the play-ins bracket, the matches against the challengers teams, and I think there is still some unfinished business there for you know, Ninja and Cupid on this team that hadn't made it in the deep runs in those local competitions. Even Seven, who was at Ascension with TSM and then didn't ascend in the end, so...
I agree, but like you've also got to be thinking about the teams that do come up with an Enterprise there. I mean, a beast in the depths that could potentially come up and bite a few. But listen, let's get focused back towards this round because both teams have a bye. CNED has his Operator and there's ultimates in play.
There is, and it looks like the first time Eternal Fire are actually going to make a full commitment towards the A side of the map, where we have seen Seven set up a number of times, interchanging with Aloe, who with these cross-map Thorn lineups does have a bit of stall, but nothing that can stop a showstopper here, right over the top of the head of Seven. He will find Fabian and continue to bunker down on backside A.
That's what Deadlock's so good for, being able to adapt to the setup. His ultimate doesn't connect, and the shots from Eternal Fire seem to straight away and a disadvantage our Pacific.
Back into the retake, quick one from Cupid, gets them back on side.
Yeah, CNED's Operator, can he work a chance? Sees a barrel on a reload, but misses his opportunity. So he does bring in Cupid to play with him, and Ninja still waiting for his chance, but it looks like it's going to be fleeting as Eternal Fire continue to connect pain onto Pacific's players. What? Echo somehow doesn't react quick enough, but manages to make the adjustment. Eternal Fire up to 4. And right now, it feels like that chance, that momentum Pacific had, is gone.
Yeah, Pacific landed that gut punch in the previous map, and here just feel fragmented in a lot of situations. I think the spacing in some of these retakes is way off. And at times they are as good as their individuals. We know how that can look on the positive side. Speaking of split and some moments on fracture, but when those pieces don't come together naturally, then what is there to really bring them?
Eternal Fire have already done some good business towards that, but it does put great doubts, right?
Sure.
For that kind of legend that they've built so far in this group.
Toxins going up.
Nobody's invincible. Eternal Fire will know that. As you can see here, really pacey play. Straight up the guts, through the B site. Is he trying to make his way in through the Hobbit door? It's a long slide from CNED, winning out that big exchange between the two. Echo a couple of his own, and in and amongst all the chaos, the round now offered a bit of quiet.
Yes, Audaz to clutch up. He's had a pretty rough series so far.
To be able to TP past the thorns in the wall, so at the very least a chance to get the plant in and offer a little bit of relief here. A split retake on the Pacific side, but they should know he hasn't repositioned main.
Yeah, it does get a chance to go for those ones. Has paranoia as well.
But at what point can he isolate an engagement? Cupid still just looking on here. And if Audaz were to round the corner, could very quickly find himself exposed. His paranoia on the defender's side. Audaz now played into the situation, scrambling to find that final player as Cupid cuts across from main, walking round towards the bend as Audaz now starts to know. Playing the time down to the final second. There might not be much left in this one, as Eternal Fire have commonly been able to punish Pacific for it. The captain stands up when it's asked of him most and offering some relief for them finally.
Back within one, and as you said, it is relief from what has been an Eternal Fire onslaught. And the big thing between these two teams is it's really coming down to the trade game and who can just get their team and edge them in front for a second, right? Because that's essentially what happens here. It's just the teams playing off one another, playing within that chaos. Something that Mini has been talking about a lot actually on the desk.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is Valorant in 2026. It's an absolute brawl, and Pacific have almost been brought down to that level on the Eternal Fire side. I think they're willing to scrap because it has worked out for them in a couple of instances.
Sometimes that's what you got to do, and oh, this looks like it's another scrap already built up. With a mound trap triggered, there's nobody to actually capitalise off the back. Yeah, but the nade isn't there, and Fabian is. An even trade, but it is a reset. Towards B main we look.
I think that's one of the issues with no damaging utility here. So Alarante's the tip of the spear through the middle. Izzy finds him. Sentinel util down. Echo played in for a fight on 7, which he loses.
Yeah, it's rough, but at least it Biomesh does go up. 3v3 on the retake, dropping in. Nobody can scissors, is he?
And Seven's just playing util out. Cupid trying to follow it up. TP's back out of the situation, 2-on-2. Still no plant in play. But Pacific need to just put things together in this situation. Play off of the numbers. Neki is completely out of position here in main. Nowhere for him to go. It's all on the shoulders of Audaz, still behind the barrier as it finally fades away. Reposition tucks the Smokes player into the box as Neki is the first point of contact. The spam's got to land at some point because otherwise this is a full stick from Cupid, and when he's finally removed, it comes down to Ninja. A clutch one already for him. Neki can say the same. Between the two of them, it's all on this, and Neki just can't be beat in these 1v1s.
Yeah, I'm dumbfounded with that round. What is going on in the individual fights? It gets chaotic to say the least. Players not thinking, considering other positions. Seven just jumps out of heaven. Cooper just jumps out of heaven. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's chaotic to say the least.
It's so hectic.
Yeah.
It is so hectic. And after Pacific already having taken a breather, how do you now reset? The economy flattened. Yeah, but can see CNED's trying to pop the ult here. He's already 34 HP. Be lucky to find a single kill once revealed, and there you have it. Neki profiting from his own util. Ninja just good for the one. So the eco already dealt with, and Eternal Fire continuing to blitz through.
Ooh, nice right click, and also get a rifle off the back of it.
There's something recovered here for Cupid, and now a little bit more tentative on the Eternal Fire side with their approach. Echo encroaching in the end and finding the kill. which should settle it. Valorant is just a classic here. Does pick up the weapon himself, but Eternal Fire have their 6th. And now this next gun round means absolutely everything for the first half.
Yeah, begin to question whether this is Pacific's issues on like performance on the defense, or whether this is actually just the defense, kind of defense focus, right, and not working. I understand they're playing double sentinel, but we have seen trends where double sentinel actually works better on the attack because of those post plants.
Oh, yeah, exactly, and that's something that they will have been hoping to have improved when you've looked at Pacific's previous performances. But here, the fight entertained on A as it's a 4-1 from Pacific. Ready to fight them at the root, but Izzy has a smash and grab answer with the operator. Echo left behind, but Ninja does catch him on the way out.
I got Spike.
Spike retrieved, and seems if that decision's made. It's Valorant to face up against 4.
Has to stand his ground in this situation. And the Steel Garden is there. Should Pacific opt for the retake in this 4-on-4? You can see still just biding his time, waiting for the rest of the defense to arrive. Solo player towards CT side, finally rips the... Oh, and Fabian! Like a lawnmower, just slices straight through the cloud cover. Cupid won on the trade, but as they filter back through, it's just fodder to the fire. They burn them to a crisp.
Yeah, it's tough, really. The fact that Fabian gets one in the running gun should have never have been able to find that. And with the ultimates put in, Pacific can feel a little hard done by. If we want to point out, I was talking about Audaz and him not having a great series, but you've got to be looking towards Pacific as well, right? Players like Valorant and Ninja not showing up when it's needed.
It's like they have the tools to get aggressive, but as I said, no damaging utility. They have to capitalize through kills. And that look so far just hasn't been profitable. Final full purchase of the half for them here, and with Izzy getting caught on that op, mutual respect shown.
A reset, Eternal Fire, the ones almost dictating everything to Pacific at this moment in time. Showing respect. Pacific had never won the pistol round. They'd be on a single round at all, right? That's the worrying aspect here. Fabian triggers the wall, but there's no response from Pacific.
This is nice mid-rounding from Eternal Fire, though, continuing to create that pressure where Pacific are struggling to handle it. No issues gaining access to the C site so far.
Cupid's starting to move out A main as Echo tries to make moves of his own.
They're walking into him here. Cupid could be in for a boatload, but it's just the one that he will find. No B main control, no follow-up. Fabian's still testing on the C side. Showstopper popped in for the kill on Aloe. Won't find it the first time. And with CNED there to pick up the pieces, Pacific's still in this round.
Yeah, but I thought for a minute the spike was going towards B. It's just Izzy himself. But it's a 2v2 on site.
Yeah, and look, if CNED gets in there quick enough, Audaz was out in the open. Drops in with a bit of blind spam. Nothing taken. Izzy could pull the plug on this whole play, though. That's not if CNED keeps going in and around the pit.
Izzy's nowhere to be seen.
Echo left behind. He finds the kill he needs, and it's another B pivot. Time is low, but there's just enough to get this plant in. CNED's going to try and interrupt, and that's where Izzy pops up from the door, shuts it down, and slams it in his face. 8 for Eternal Fire.
Oh, mate, I'm going to have to go to the hospital because my heart is going, man. It's here, there, and everywhere between these two. And as you said, chaotic is where these two teams have decided to play. CNED with good spam. He's unlucky not to catch Echo. And right now, with the last round in this half, this could be monumental for Pacific's chance in this last match.
Such a needed round for them when you look at the amount they were able to pick up on their own attack sides. A 4th is mandatory at this stage. Such a crucial point in the game. Fabian again spotted in B main. Pacific spend a little bit of early utility to try and clear him out, but Eternal Fire have dug in their heels.
I mean, so far, both Sentinels have never played on the same site. So maybe that's what Eternal Fire are thinking right now.
And it's a change up of the Thorns as well. First time that we see it dropped in tree. Do they read into this? Echo left behind, Residual as always, detached from the rest of the pack, and this is a problem. Ninja looking to try and fend them off, can only stall out for so long. Eternal Fire all over Pacific like a rash, and with Fabian left behind, he nearly finishes it off himself. Spectre to be upgraded, but the expectation is Eternal Fire with 9. Their Lotus improved since the Fnatic game. They showed us how good they could be against Vitality. Pacific so far not proving to be a problem.
Yeah, Eternal Fire are really starting to flex their muscles on Lotus. They have definitely made fixes from their Fnatic game. And Pacific, we're going to have to see a big second half from them if this is going to be a big decider.
Yeah. While we wait for the second half, we invite you to play along with our little half-time quiz. So get stuck in.
Asked of them, right guys, can you bounce back? Can you show us from a pretty poor performance in towards a second and third map win?
The attack side is where it really lives or dies, and playing double Sentinel here, you'd instantly assume, oh well, they're defender-sided agents, right? As long as Pacific get the site, they can fortify it and really find some value. So here they go, another pistol on the cards, and it looks like Eternal Fire are ready to take it home already. Izzy with 3. Cupid has gained a little bit of ground here, but nothing that'll stop Izzy from finding his 4th and what could be the nail in the coffin.
It feels like the Pacific are out now. Eternal Fire really put themselves in a strong position to close out this series. And this is why we think of them as playoff contenders, and you think to yourself, what, against Pacific? No, because they're able to show us, when it counts, why they're this team, why we consider them towards playoffs.
Not just the highlight moments, but the resilience, the grit to just come back into this one. And while it's only a pistol on the surface, it spells out 11 rounds. That's very much what we're waiting to see here, unless those Pacific pistols could do it again. I mean, surely not. There's a couple in there. Echo's low. This is a Bulldog. Find him, and you might just have the floodgates open. It's costly, though. For that reason exactly, you don't fancy Cupid to win this 1v2. But if he could, I mean, that's the start.
65 health. Needs to get by a Marshall, which hits like an operator. And Neki with the Bulldog, who has been pretty good in his own right.
I think it's in moments like this as well, where Pacific found themselves in so many 2v1s. Can Eternal Fire demonstrate what it is to play off each other? Probably not. I think Izzy has this one easy enough. It just falls into his lap. And so that is 11. All the pressure in the world is now on Pacific to right the ship here, Cairo.
Yeah.
Because this next round is where they have the tools.
Interesting.
But there's just no room for adaptation.
No, there is not, right? You have to be near enough as perfect as possible. And you also go in against a bonus, which if you look at the buy, has his operator in there as well. So this is still worrying. It's still a hard task to get through, and you need to make it as clean as possible to help build that economy.
You put the one with the most kills so far, but he'll really be hoping to find his rhythm here. If you just get one good round, a grasp on what this defender side picture looks like, that might be the way back in to string something together. But as it stands, another attempt on the C site. Smoke fading. Is he here?
Straight in. I mean, it looks like Cooper's going to play entry here as well. As we can see, Echo trying to play within his own
Haven't found him.
And yes, they haven't. And he drops down, looking for another. Easily responded to. Neki's just sent it in. And Pacific well aware of what Eternal Fire want to do. What is going on there?
With the bucket, Clay Pigeon shooting, or is he the Pigeon? I don't know.
I don't even know myself, mate. 3v2 here. Surely you don't play into the bucket. I wouldn't expect so. And Pacific now finally look to try and get the last couple of players off and finally won the round.
They really want to keep this clean. Money's still not in the best of places. We're talking about it being a long road, and one step at a time. Shot from Ordaz.
But he can't connect another. So with that, Pacific get their round in this second half, but a big cost.
Yeah, it is costly. And in terms of what they've seen on the map so far, it's mostly been Echo anchoring C. Izzy is floating what will now become an operator around the map on this Neon, as we've seen a couple of times already at Find Value. What if I would love to have seen what that looked like from the other POV, but it's in position here early, Cairo, and Pacific. They're into untested waters now.
This is a part of the map that they have not been to, and Izzy's operator on the line early doors, trying to set him up as he looks deep. Did just see the leg of the deadlock. It's now Fabian has asked the question, can he win out the next duel? As you can see, Eternal Fire dancing with the idea of the next fight, and Pacific up to task as they deathball through.
Huge punishment on that next follow-up, and Eternal Fire maybe overheating just a little bit there. Tail end of Valorant spotted merging its way towards the site, and a big 1v1 happening in heaven.
Fabian low does get a kill, so he keeps it within the realms of possibility. Echo escapes. Ninja playing Sentinel.
Molly kill!
But it's a 2 versus 1 at the same time, and it's Audaz to clutch up. Silent drop. Not heard, and Valorant swinging round at the right time. So Pacific keeping themselves alive 1 round at a time.
Man, that got really dicey, but as you say, the half has to be perfect, and they're starting to put 1 foot in front of another. This was really nice from Seven, just catching the repeat from the operator. Echo trying to abuse the timing, unlucky for CNED with how low he was.
These guys cannot control themselves. They will keep peeking. They will peek and peek and peek.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, you know what is the playstyle of Eternal Fire, and it looks like they want to do the same thing here on the defense as the players come through. An ultimate sent through from CNED as he tries to come through the orb of Echo and actually just goes through them entirely. There's a flight coming in, Pacific well aware of it, and in the end they will get the round win. So we get even closer now.
And now Pacific is starting to play into this conditioning a little bit, where the last few rounds we've seen them play very direct, go for these quick pops towards sight. The A play a little slower on the scaling, but they have that full anticipation that any angle your crosshair's placed on, there will very soon be a head right within the reticle, so... You see, the vibes are still good here. I wonder if there's a change-up. No, looks like they are just going to keep doubling down and down and down.
Don't back down, double down, double down. It seems to continue on. Echo and Audaz, the ones to call for rotates, is already that's set execute to come through once again. Ultimates from either side. The Viper's Pit, huge here. And it's actually caught Audaz, not Echo! As he's got a double kill with a classic. No way! Finally the pit drops through CNED, but it's still a 3-on-3. The kill's still to come through, the chaos still continuing, and Pacific on the other side of it.
Holding angles as a team and winning as a team. Izzy barred from C-site access here, but walks around the side of the mesh. Still a 1v3.
Still with the ulti as well. So do not count him out just yet. He starts to send it in.
He's going for it.
This is an expensive one to try and be the hero in, and he's already lost a lot of health as it comes straight through. Pacific win. That's a Viper's Pit, an overdrive, and no round win.
You also have to consider the investments that were made on the Pacific side to keep themselves afloat here. We had the Deadlock ult, of course, coming in. Cupid might even have used his own there as well. I've got this from Audaz.
Yeah, I've got a question for you though, Hazza. As we are now at 7-11, a timeout called from Eternal Fire, a little bit of a panic here. Just about this round.
That's why I say if they win 9, then we're really talking, because yeah, you have to give every round its respect. And for what it's worth, other than the anti-ecos Pacific have been winning, haven't seen Eternal Fire really with all too much thrifty themselves.
I think that's the big talking point here.
Change up of the wall from Valorant to counter the B pressure, which he will soon be in receipt of.
He's not received it just yet. He takes his time to fire off and does get rid of Izzy.
Yeah, that's clean. Echo is left behind here inserted though, and actually Valorant could be hot under the collar soon. He's only seen the Neon. He's not aware of the push out.
The Outlaws shouldn't be that much of a boon towards the defensive chance either, to be honest, Hazza. It's when the cross comes through.
Yeah, has he called it? I mean, Cupid does end up falling, but there is a quick trade, and that's an area where Pacific have shown improvement. Just one player on the C site right now, so an area of weakness which they're looking to exploit here with the call that's been made. The rotation's in progress, but can't arrive soon enough. All on Ordaz, and with CNED walking straight into the barrel of the Sheriff, he simply pulls the trigger. It's looked magnificent so far, but you're just asking so much in that situation.
Yeah, it's a good nade to create more delay, just to get Neki close to him. He's finally here.
It's a 2v3 as well. Alarante's playing up close, ready to trade off of this, but you have to win that fight, Ninja. Here's the rocket. Trade out 1v1. Neki, unbeatable so far in these situations. He only has a pistol. He wouldn't land a shot. Not this time. 7 saves the day as Pacific will find an 8th.
They win the round at a big cost, right? The showstopper invested as well, but something that's been a big talking point is that when to use your ultimates.
True.
And when you're Eternal Fire right now, would you not rather have a stockpile to overwhelm your opponents? Drip feeding them is working against them right now.
Yeah, I think Eternal Fire thought they could still win the round in that situation. No reason not to pop it, and actually, because Pacific are in this for the long run, doesn't matter how many bodies drop, they've still got money to go. Right back in on the A play. Izzy's op yet to really find itself too involved in the conversation right now.
That's an early nightfall.
Is Neki going to peek this? Of course he is, and he's been punished again.
And that nightfall now has no value at the minute.
Pacific pumping the brakes just for a moment. Alorante has the Steel Garden. Careful investment of the tools catered towards the site execution. Backside already condemned to it. Fabian finding one in the middle, and this is where Izzy now wants to introduce himself, but CNED shows him the door. Sent marching orders. Pacific plotting course for a 9th, and that's where you start to believe.
Daz is retreating. He's thrown in the white till. Nothing that he wants to do with this round. Save a rifle into the next. You're on 9, Hazza. Do you start to take notice now?
I think you have to. Right, I think you have to. We'll look at and see what the next couple look like and see if they can actually tie this one up fully. Even then, I don't feel fully confident to say that Pacific win it from that position just based on what we saw in Fracture a map ago. But right now, the mental reset to come into this half knowing it's their stronger side, we've not even seen the value of the Sentinel utility in post because 9 times out of 10, half of Eternal Fire are already dead.
Yeah. 2 rounds from equaling out Eternal Fire, and this is an equal round to take that one step closer.
Every single one of these duels is just dry. There's not a single lick of utility there.
And the worst part is, right now, coming into this next one, they're waving to each other. The next part is that Ordaz is coming in with just a glass cannon rifle, and he can't buy anything because he's going to have no buy for the next.
What a time to make yourself a star. He's playing from the perch. Bearing on down to Pacific's position, the Toxin screen is going to drop, and so he does have to TP out. Fabian wishes he had such a liberty. He's as dead as anything. Trying to trim the herd with a bandit back through the smoke, but Eternal Fire are cowering on all fronts here. Brilliant bait from 7. What an upturn in form from him on this map as we've gone from half to half. This is going to be number 10, Cairo.
Spike planted.
Do you still not believe?
I've been believing for a long time, let's be honest. No, I will say it has taken me a long time to start to buy in, but when I usually get towards 7 to 11, that's where I start to really tune in.
Yeah.
Because Pacific with 1 round away and Ultimates 2 play, this round could easily be won. Eternal Fire need their individuals to show up right now, right here, or Pacific could bounce back.
And for all of the fights they've been taking on A, Eternal Fire haven't really adapted too heavily in strengthening either extremity of the map. It's Izzy in this op. Again,
he's been forced back again.
The bane of Pacific's existence at times, but all it is, a ruse to play in the rest of the team. Fabian, Ordaz, Echo combining. Numbers on their side. Cupid TP's away.
Next kill basically decides the round, it feels like.
It does. And it might just come down to this duel on B. Valorant shows himself, but the shoulder of Echo spotted. Playing around the smoke, just trying to stop this one from bleeding out. Neki on A, other side of the door. If Valorant breaks this, he's immediately in the firing line.
Yeah, but he's playing with his time, and I like this.
All of this pressure has actually managed to drag Izzy towards Waterfall, away from the C site. That's the window where Cupid then wants to strike, but still playing passive.
Eternal Fire anxious because they know that this round is within their grasp.
But Pacific too, I feel like they don't know where that next incision is. They're kind of hoping for that overpeak, but I think finally Eternal Fire have learned their lesson. B looking like the best option. That's where they want to end.
Oh, Aloe, if he'd stuck on the line, would have been a huge off-angle. Neki now announcing himself and pulling Aloe's attention.
Just dragging the head away. Cupid needs this one cleanly. You said it decides the round, and that might be it, dead and buried. Aloe has nothing left to say in this equation. Eternal Fire taking 12 right at the dying embers of this game.
Have Eternal Fire made us wait for a map win, or is there a chance at overtime? Remember, either team has a timeout here, but do you want to allow your opponents that chance to talk in a timeout? That's the question. This big brawl, again, I've said it a lot of times, these brawls feel like it comes down to little margins, and they never seem to go Pacific's way.
It's the difference of literally one fight, and I think, to give credit, just see space to start. Once more, it's Izzy. The hardest test to pass. I think this might actually just be Cupid throwing the blind for some early B main control.
Looks like it. As the players respect, but Izzy's on the hunt. Operator trying to get on towards the line early. When that door opens, the operator not hitting, but has announced itself, and Oda's stuck with no way out. So finally, again, Pacific straight back in with the first blood.
This is nice. Yeah, not making any big risks on an early investment. Just trying to take the sand space. They get B main behind the smoke, and Fabian's re-clearing. They are ready for it, as always. And again, Eternal Fire go reaching, and the wrist is cut clean off.
You can see with the tap of the door, that Eternal Fire on the hunt once again. They want those numbers back in their favour. And Pacific are playing the buddy system. They're playing together, they're walking, and not letting themselves get caught off guard.
Re-clear here into Izzy's operator, though. This is where the round could fall to pieces for Pacific, but Izzy is feeling a little bit forgiving this time. Doesn't land the shot. The ult tries to chase him up. He repositions close to go for another duel. That's when CNED's able to cross the bridge towards the site. Izzy still hanging on for every last centimeter of space. Echo right by his side. It's 7 once more. Yet again, the import from overseas comes here to keep those waves on the Pacific side rolling.
Timeout straight away from Eternal Fire. There is 1 round in this, a 1-round shootout between Eternal Fire winning and Pacific into overtime. This attack side has to be really respected in terms of its calling by Cupid, and the system that Pacific have built in terms of being a buddy system and looking for these engagements that Eternal Fire warriors. And I think if any of those come online, that's a round decider. That's a big win condition you'd have in your back pocket ready to throw forward, and it's decided through an A-rubble fight.
Another reposition from Izzy, but it's just a pistol this time. Ninja walking out behind the rest. It's crowded in a powder keg, ready to go up in smoke. Eternal Fire just need this 1 round for Pacific. It would be OT. The slide through the smoke works out. Brilliant blind. So many players tagged up. Fabian finding one and quickly dodging his way back out with a satchel. Cupid is low. Numbers on the defender's side.
And you feel like that fate, that deciding fight has been decided.
Go, go, go!
Pacific, their luck has run out. Cupid low, CNED taking damage, and they walk into a site that has Fabian in it, a player who just consistently performs.
A double stack. Echo retooled on the pistol here for it. Clean shot onto Cupid, could end it here and now, but gets spotted out. And actually, that's both of the players noted on the Eternal Fire side, and actually a rotation being called here.
Yeah, Cooper thinking about that C site. And if you get spiked down, you get post plant
30
to
seconds
actually
left.
set up by yourselves. You can maybe get an off angle here or there.
Sure.
Look for numbers back in your favor.
I mean, that's what it's got to be, right? Has to sit on the shoulders of CNET here to just pry away and find a little bit of space. Encroach aggressively. Plant's going to come in, or doesn't stick it.
Spike planted.
But he does give the info.
He does, and we need to see this forward line taken.
That's what CNED's going for.
Looking for it. Players walking
That's
into his
amazing.
crosshairs.
Oh.
CNET taken down. It's all on Cupid now to keep Pacific in this. Their first win fell so close. He sprays for a couple, but it's not quite enough. The second map slipping through their fingers, and Eternal Fire dousing them in the end.
Yeah, it's heartbreak for Pacific, but it's elation for Eternal Fire. They are
Defenders
confirmed for playoffs. A massive win, made to look